There are some of you right now who can't see the pain and agony of a plague of darkness. You would actually welcome a plague of darkness because you haven't slept in a while, and you're like, dude, just to have 3 days of darkness would be perfectly okay with me. I could use the extra sleep. It doesn't seem that terrifying, like a apocalyptic locust plague, like, okay, yeah, that's pretty scary. Hellfire coming down, brimstone, all that, that's pretty scary. Boils breaking out all over your body, that's pretty scary. Darkness, it's not so scary. And the reason why you might not be terrified or understand why they would have been terrified is because you don't understand the psychological and the theological damage this would have meant for the Egyptians. I'm going to deal with both of them. First one, the psychological damage. So I don't know if you have ever been in pitch darkness before. It's actually pretty rare. There's very few times that we ever find ourselves in pitch darkness, but this is what they were going through. It says, a darkness to be felt. It uses the word pitch darkness, but in Hebrew, it literally says a dark darkness, like talking hand in front of your face and you can't see it. No light whatsoever. Now, this was some kind of supernatural darkness because the land of Goshen, where the Israelites were, they had light, but it was not penetrating into the land of Egypt. And not only that, apparently they couldn't light candles or because they could have light at night, but it says they could not get up from where they were. They were stuck. They could light a candle and it did not illuminate. It was this pitch dark blackness. Now, if you have ever been anywhere where it's pitch dark, you can't see anything, you know how discombobulating of a feeling it is. I've stood before in a completely dark room and it feels like you're in this abyss, like you're floating. You can't feel your feet on the ground anymore. You lose all sense of space and time. It's this weird out-of-body experience when you're actually in complete darkness. And part of the hardest parts about it, like I said, is you lose this sense of distance, not just physical, but of time, how long you've gone. And you got to remember, this is going on for 3 entire days. That would have felt like eternity to these people. They have no way of telling how the time is moving on. When it's time to eat, they can't even find their food because they can't get out from the place where they're. They're just stuck in bed. They don't know when it's time to sleep. They don't know how to move around. And remember, they don't have like an Apple Watch they can just tap and a light comes on. Like their only means of knowing what time it was the sun. But there ain't no sun. So they're just stuck there and they have no clue. It's now day 3 and they don't know if this is going to be their eternity. They don't know it's only 3 days. They're just overwhelmed by this deep darkness. And psychologically, it would have been maddening for them. They were losing their minds after 3 days of it. But it wasn't just the psychological damage. It would have actually been worse for the theological damage because this would have been the crumbling of their entire religious system because the sun didn't come up. And you're going, well, how's that so? Well, if you don't know much about the Egyptians and their theology, the sun was one of the most prominent parts of their entire religious system. We've been showing you over the course of the weeks a number of images of the Egyptian gods and goddesses, and many of them have this disc right above their head, whether it's between their horns or just sitting on their head, and it's the sun. And the reason why was the sun was believed to bring divine power. Now, the most powerful of all the Egyptian gods at the time of Moses was a god that many of you have heard of. His name was Amun-Ra, the sun god. Now, Amun-Ra was believed to be the god above all the other gods. He was the creator god. In fact, his own priest would declare that no one could oppose Amun-Ra and win. And the reason why they believed it is because every single day, Amun-Ra proved to be the mightiest of gods. And here's the way they viewed it. They saw the disk go up in the sky every single morning, the sun. And they believed that was Amun-Ra riding his celestial boat across the sky. And he would go all the way over until he would go down at night into the netherworld where the other gods would try to oppose him. And every single morning, he would come up victorious, conquering all those other gods again. And from the beginning of known time, Amun-Ra had never been defeated. Every morning, like clockwork, he would come up again and again and again, showing no one could defeat him. He was the God above all gods. Until the 9th plague, when there are 3 days when Amun-Ra does not come up. Their chief god has been defeated. And when Amun-Ra is defeated, the one who powers everything else, their whole religious system crumbles to the ground. Which is why at that moment, whenever Pharaoh is feeling this darkness, he's feeling his whole theology breaking down, the weight of this. He's going insane. He goes, okay, uncle, Moses, Aaron, come on back. He needs some help now because he has been devoured by this darkness. So let's see how he responds in verse 24.